Hello, everybody. Tracy Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast, sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives veterans, mil spouses, active military members, military family members, and patriotic military supporters a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has helped them in their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I am so excited to have with me Amy Palmer, who is a proud U.S. Air Force veteran and current president and CEO of Soldiers Angels, a national nonprofit supporting military and veteran communities. Since joining in 2013, she led a major turnaround, transforming the organization into one of the nation's top-rated nonprofits with a 94.5% efficiency rating, serving over 7.5 million service members, veterans, and their families since its inception. She holds a bachelor's in organizational management, a nonprofit management certificate, and is pursuing a master's in philanthropy. Under her leadership, Soldiers Angels expanded key programs for low-income and homeless veterans and earned recognition from Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and the Platinum Seal of Transparency from Candid. Amy has received numerous honors for her service, including the 2012 Caring Award alongside the Dalai Lama, the 2017 Nonprofit CEO of the Year by the San Antonio Business Journal, the prestigious Freedom Award from the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, and most recently, the Leadership Award at the 6th Annual Veterans Awards hosted by the Academy of United States Veterans. Amy's unwavering dedication and leadership continue to make a profound impact on the lives of veterans and their families, ensuring they receive the care and support they deserve. Hello, Amy. Welcome to the podcast. And thank you so much for your service, ma'am, to our country and your family's legacy of service to our country.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, so we have a lot to discuss. Excited to get into the conversation. But before, I would like to ask you just a few questions about your military career. So, what inspired you to join the Air Force?
Well, I came from a large family. There's 11 kids in my family. And so, of course, growing up in a very small farming community, there wasn't a lot of options with a family that size for for future education and to be able to get out of the area and see the world. And in addition, one of my brothers and sisters were in the Marine Corps. My dad was Army National Guard. And so, there just was such a legacy of service. And my sister, being kind of my role model, I wanted to follow in her footsteps. I was going to join the Marine Corps. She convinced me that I should probably join the Air Force. And I am really thankful that I did. It was a great experience.
That's great. Um, yeah, that's an amazing. So many people in your family served. What an amazing legacy. Is there a particular aspect or moment from your service that stood out to be impactful for you in a positive way?
Being 18 and my first plane ride was basic training. And so, there were a lot of really kind of first moments that stand out. Um, but for me, going to Korea was as my first assignment was really impactful because, I had really never been much out of the state, a couple of times as a child, never been on an airplane and to go all the way to Korea and really live and experience a whole different type of culture was kind of a changing moment. But also, while I was there, I really took advantage of the local opportunities to see the area, to get out and see the other parts besides the base of Korea, to hit the mountains and see the beaches and, just really see what it is in the real world as if you were a local was really an experience I'll will keep with me forever.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. So you got out, and I would ask what your transition was like, what you did after you left service, and how did that kind of set you up for what you're doing now, being the president and CEO of Soldier Angels?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was med boarded. I had a back injury in Korea,
Mm,
and I didn't. Yeah, it was from a specific injury, but of course I wanted to stay in Korea, and they don't have a great medical services, so I didn't really get much treatment, minimal treatment until I got back to
right.
the States, and then started regularly getting care for it. And then eventually I was med boarded. But when you get the notification that you're med boarded, like I was out in less than 60 days. And so for me,
Wow.
fortunately, my husband was active duty, but we relied on two incomes. We were in our early 20s, like 21 and 23, and really needed every dollar. And so having that situation come up very quickly, really, if we'd have been a single income family, like it would have been devastating. And so that was part of the reason I wanted to get into nonprofit, because I thought, what would this be like if I didn't have a spouse that was also a breadwinner?
Hmm.
And it would have been really hard, especially with that short notice. So that's why I ended up going into nonprofit, and started volunteering with a nonprofit first, and ultimately then ended up growing into a staff position at some point.
Right, right. So you've been with Soldiers Angels since 2013, and I understand that, believe it or not, Patty Patton started this organization. She was the founder, I believe, but you kind of took it to a whole nother level when you came on board. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so Patty Patton did an amazing job. I mean, initially it was an idea to help support her son and his units during the initial invasion of Iraq. Before she wasn't really hearing from him regularly, so she just kept sending care packages. But when she finally did, he said, "We need more." He's sharing with friends, and so she set up a website where people could adopt deployed service members through Soldiers Angels. Um, she did a great job with that organization. But as you know, during the early waves, it was in the news, in the media, people were giving to the cause and they were using it. I mean, they were doing a lot of good for a lot of people. When that dwindled down, really the organization had to shift, and we had to actually actively fundraise and seek opportunities and really kind of pinpoint like who we should serve, because there were a lot of those organizations that started during that same time frame, and we had to really kind of figure out where we all fit together for those that stayed in business. Some of them ended up closing after the deployments drew down. We shifted to support veterans, and after I came on board, but unfortunately they didn't make that shift well in the early days, and they had a passion to give money, and so they continued to give it and ended up running out. And so
Mhm.
when I came on, we really restructured. We shifted a lot of that excess support to veterans. The care package items, we took the toiletries to make toiletry bags for veterans that are hospitalized. We took the snack items to make non-perishable lunch for homeless and low-income veterans that needed a meal, a quick meal. And so we started to shift to try to support that population in addition to continuing what we were doing for deployed. So we did make the shift. We got, the organization out of debt, and then continue to look at where we fit, where the need exists. There's only so much you can do for deployed and so much support you can provide that they need. And then, but a lot of the areas of support are when they come home. And so they need transitional support, food support, transportation to and from appointments, and those sorts of things. So our real heavy focus right now is on food for active duty and veterans. We're actually the largest food provider right now, exclusively to veterans in the U.S. But we also do serve active duty as well. And so we're adding some pantries and some other food programs as well to our pool, because we see that that's a space that needs to be filled and is not being filled specifically in this space. Food banks, of course, do a great job with that, but they're not specific to this population. And I think veterans feel like they
Mhm.
want to be somewhere where it's unique to them. San Antonio actually had their food distribution yesterday. I was on a plane, wasn't there, came home, and I got an email from a veteran that said he was there. And he said it was like coming back from deployment, fist bumps and high fives. And like, he's like, it was an awesome experience. He said it was one of the best 10 minutes I've had in a long time,
Oh, wow.
because, they drive through very quickly, they get their food
Yeah.
very quickly. But he's like the praise and affirmation I received from people in that 10 minutes, he said, I want to volunteer because I bet that's just as rewarding. So those are the kinds of things that we hope to create, not a scenario where they feel like feel bad about coming for food, but we
Mhm.
want to honor them and thank them for their service. And food is one avenue that we can do that.
Right. So, what I'm hearing is that you help with care packages to deployed, but you're really in the space of, helping veterans after they come home and transition. I would ask, what about, do you help like military families when their service member is deployed? And maybe, because I know that sometimes, especially among the enlisted, that sometimes that there are food insecurities within the military family as their service member is deployed. Do you get into that
Yeah, so
space at
we
all?
just started serving food to families, and so some of our food distributions are near military installations, some of them are not. So like Detroit, where we have a pantry, it's not a huge active duty population, but like in Charleston, South Carolina, of course, Denver has Buckley Space Force.
Mhm.
Washington D.C. of course does, San Antonio, Orlando. So there's some active duty in some of those locations, and a few of them a little less so, but we do really focus on and including them and making it more available to them. It's hard because of during the day. A lot of times they can't get away during the day to come, especially if they have young
Right.
kids in the home. And so we're looking at trying to do pantries on some of the installations. Or even supporting existing pantries on installations like in JBAB in DC. We took a bunch of food that we had ordered for a food distribution to drop off there for them to serve their active duty at their food pantry that's on the installation. So we are focusing more on that population. One of the things on the virtual side, when deployments drew down, most of our volunteers, we had over 180,000 volunteers come through in those 10 years and adopt and
Wow.
support deployed service members. And so most of them are not near a VA or maybe not even near a USO facility. And so they wanted to still volunteer, but with the care package, not being as important or not being the numbers, we wanted to find ways they could still do things for mail. So we added some other things that they could do all by mail. We have virtual baby showers that are for female veterans, but also families, of course, of deployed, families of low income veterans and active duty. We added an adopt a family program for the holidays, which is actually open right now for client registration. It'll shortly open in a couple of weeks for people to take those families and support them during the holidays. So we did add some additional kind of family things to that. That people could still do by mail just because they wanted to be able to continue to serve in some capacity, although there weren't as many care packages needed.
Right, right. I understand. So people can sign up with you to volunteer then.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things when COVID came, like we were virtual before virtual was cool because that's really what we did. I mean, that was
Right.
our basis of our initial programs. And so for people that couldn't be in VAs and couldn't be in USO facilities or wherever serving, they could still volunteer virtually and still go to the post office and mail packages. So we really had an easy shift during COVID to that. But even now with a lot of companies being partial back in office and partial virtual, a lot of times they want to do a project at their campus, but then they have hundreds of people also still scattered. And so we can tie in those physical things with virtual things as well to bring that together. So whether you're a company, we work with churches, schools, a lot of teachers adopt for their classrooms,
Mm.
all sorts of agencies, other veterans organizations volunteer with us too. So we have opportunities for everybody.
Hello, viewers and listeners. The JDog Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. 100% of all proceeds goes directly to the organizations we are partnered with. If you go to jdogfoundation.org, you can learn more about our mission, donate, and if you are in need of help, please dial 988. Our motto, saving lives one veteran at a time. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. Oh, great. And so I know you fundraise, right? So can people, when if they hear about this and they think, wow, this is really cool, I'd like to support, can they go to your website and donate?
Absolutely. Soldiersangels.org is our website. They can go there and donate. It's super easy online. For those in San Antonio, they can also donate in person at our offices, or stop in and even volunteer or drop off goods here. We do also take a lot of in-kind donations through our volunteer portal, so volunteers can register. And right now, actually, we're getting ready to start our Treats for Troops candy buyback program, so people will be able to donate Halloween candy and register for that starting October 1st. We have our holiday stocking program where they can pack and donate stockings. But there's so many opportunities, and we use a lot of cash, of course, to support the food. And we can do it
Sure.
cheaper than what they can buy and donate to us because we source
Mhm.
through food rescues, food banks, and other places where we're able to feed a family for $20 for a whole week versus what it would cost to go buy that at the grocery store. So the cash really does make a big difference because we can stretch that a lot further to serve more families than somebody buying it and donating it. Although we do take those too if people have them, but cash really does make a difference in being able to provide that support. And food costs have gone up so much lately, and
Right.
food banks are having a harder time keeping food in stock, so we are having to source through other options. So food costs have definitely gone up over the last couple of years for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is amazing. You're obviously doing wonderful work there and figuring out great ways to support the veteran community and active duty. I think it's amazing. However, I have to ask you a very, very important question because this is the Tactical Treasures podcast, Amy. So I would love to know what your tactical treasure is, what has helped you in your journey in life that you would like to share with us today.
Oh gosh, that is a tough question. Um, you know, Gosh, I don't know what that would be. There's so many things. I mean, you have so many milestones in your
Sure.
lifetime that, it's hard to say which one would be a tactical treasure. To me, serving has been an awesome experience, to be able to help other people and to really continue to give back, to veterans, and to me, I feel like I'm still in the military space,
Mhm.
and serving in that capacity because when you leave the military, sometimes you lose that sense of purpose and that team
Mhm.
that you got like when you're overseas, in a location. And so I think to me that's really it, is the camaraderie, because have a large portion of our staff are veterans, and we have a lot of families here, and so that work with us of veterans, and so it still feels like it's that place where I still feel that camaraderie, and really service, and so I really think that would be mine.
That's a great tactical treasure. I
Yeah,
love it.
I think a lot of service members find they get disconnected and they're not ready to do it. And people don't necessarily understand that. But when you spend time overseas and nobody has their family, you develop
Yeah.
relationships that are not like traditional work
Mhm.
relationships. Like they really are family.
Right.
And you're cooking Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving in your dorm rooms together in the middle of the night, to celebrate, or watching a Super Bowl at all hours of the night. And so it really is, a different experience, and you lose a lot of that when you separate from the military. So
Mhm.
I always tell veterans, find a veteran organization, to volunteer with, or in the VA. And the vets love telling those stories of their experiences, and it brings you back to that place where you feel like you belong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's a great tactical treasure and good advice too. So, because that was going to be my next question. My next question was, before we wrap up our time here together, can you share, what our fellow veterans who are struggling, what advice would you have for them, and how can Soldiers Angels possibly help with that?
Yeah, I think it's important for them to plug in some capacity. There's a lot of like even Facebook groups for veterans,
Hmm.
where you'll have a veteran reach out that says they're really having a hard time, they're having issues at home, they don't know what to do, they're struggling, they don't know if they can continue, and being able to really kind of say, hey, call me, let's talk about it, or, here's some resources. So even just as little as joining some of those Facebook groups can make a difference for people. because
Hmm.
you can help communicate with those that are struggling, or maybe at some point it's you and you need that help. But there's also ways to plug in, like volunteering. You can volunteer directly to VAs. You can volunteer with us, volunteer at any place that serves that population, because they understand you. You can tell
Hmm.
stories of you were stationed here, you were stationed there. Really, it brings people together. I actually was at an event in Northern California this week with a group of veterans, and just sharing stories of people they knew and people they worked together and where they were. Um, it really does make a difference. And we were actually with a blind veteran who was Army Special Forces, and just listening to him and his experience and how amazing he is, how happy he is. It makes you want to do more. And as a veteran, it's like somebody like that inspires me. And so I think
Hmm.
veterans need to be in that space where they have that kind of sense. So, starting with the Facebook page and then going into something more, but like you can still be part of the same team and still have that same mission and purpose that you had before, just in a different way.
Yeah, I love it. That's great advice. Great advice. Amy, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all about Angels, and the great stuff that you're doing there. It's so needed. But I would like to know where people can find and connect with you and where they can find out more information about Soldiers Angels.
Sure. So they can go to our website at soldiersangels.org. We also have a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok. So there's all kinds of ways to reach us. They can call our office at 210-629-0020. They can also email. I even read the regular emails that come in. So info at soldiersangels.org. They can email and people, I get emails there every day and I respond to a lot of them of service members and veterans. So they can reach us any of those ways. And if they're local here in San Antonio, they can always stop in.
Okay, great. And so if a veteran, either deployed or have come home, are in need of your services, they can contact through that info at Soldiers Angels.
Yeah, I mean, they can
Dot.
go and see the services we provide on our website and register directly. But
Mhm.
if it doesn't fit into that, they can email us, because a lot of times we can help them find resources. And so,
Right.
it may be food, but a lot of times when they need food, they need other things as well. And so, like, we can help them navigate some of that to really find out where they can get things. So they're not just calling around to see, who provides what and how they can get help. We know a lot of those agencies and those networks, and we can help plug them in where they need to be.
Okay, great. That's great information. Thank you for sharing. Amy, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing everything that you did. I think you're doing great work there, and we'll be sure to get the word out.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. We've just finished up a very enlightening conversation with Amy Palmer, who is an Air Force veteran and the current president and CEO of Soldiers Angels, which is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting our military veterans and their families. Their mission is simple but powerful: to provide aid, comfort, and resources to those who serve and have served. With volunteers across all 50 states and 31 countries, they run programs that ensure no soldier is forgotten or alone. Their motto says it best: may no soldier go unloved. May no soldier walk alone. May no soldier be forgotten even after they come home. To learn more about all the services that they provide and to donate, go to soldiersangels.org. And if you are a veteran or active duty deployed or military family and want to know more information and find out what resources that they have that you can tap into, email them at info@soldiersangels.org. And if they are unable to assist, they can certainly tap you into resources that can. Again, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Tactical Treasures. Don't forget, you can find our podcast on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms, American Grit, and on our website, tacticaltreasurespodcast.com, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Reese Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, and the Encore on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can also find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We are also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. You can donate right now at reachacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye bye now.